The Future is Wild plays with the theme of evolution. For Will Wright, his newest game would do the same thing. But conveying the concept of Spore would be easier said than done.
So I remember the first time I actually pitched Spore to the EA execs. And so I kind of came in, I had some slides, and I kind of went through my 15, 20-minute spiel about how cool Spore is going to be and why. And I could see on everybody's faces that they just had no idea what I was talking about. I mean, you know, I'm not even sure I did.
You don't work for Will Wright. You work with Will Wright.
First of all, he is really jaw-droppingly, amazingly smart and inventive and creative. He just thinks about things differently. He's always the person in the room who's going to ask the question that comes kind of out of left field.
You go to lunch with Will and like you have no idea what you're going to end up talking about by the end of lunch. It's robots, it's the Soviet space program, it's whatever the napkin's made out of.
The game team itself didn't kick off until we really hired in some people, and it was all about engaging in the core technologies.
So the core team was, when I got here, was mostly engineers. I think a lot of our technology was in pretty serious development at that time, and I think we had more engineers than any other game developer. We had a lot of designers that also could code, which was really, amazing, because like a designer could come up with an idea for a prototype and then go, churn something out to show their idea to everyone to see if it held water, if it was going to be something we'd want to use.
The way our team is structured is we have a lot of very talented people, and we've tried as much as possible to distribute the design decisions down through the whole team. So just about anybody on the team is free to kind of jump into a design discussion and offer their opinion or alternative.
Some of the emphasis of Spore is all about tapping into player creativity. Our position was we wanted players to be as creative as they possibly could. The creators, where they get to make their own creatures or their buildings or vehicles, are all about tapping into that player creativity and giving them no constraints.
Most people, they might have a little bit of experience moving through a 3D world in a game, but in terms of actually creating 3D assets, that was something that we basically had to make seem not only easy to use, but actually fun.
Our sort of fundamental editors are the creature editor, putting parts on a creature, and we have the building editor making structures, and the vehicle editor. The creature editor was a really tight collaboration with the artists.
In a typical video game, most characters are created in Maya or some other similar application by an artist. Characters usually have a bunch of like bones and textures and geometry that gets modeled over the process of a few days or a week. And what we do is compress that whole experience down into a few clicks of the mouse.
The idea was, they wanted to go from 0 to smile in 3 clicks.
The system that we've created in Spore lets a player that's never created anything like that before create it in just minutes.
If you look at the creatures that we've got now in our creature editor, there's a lot of structure to them. So instead of having an individual section of bone that you have to create a whole creature out of, there's pre-assembled limbs, and you can grab a whole limb, and the system knows what a limb is.
When you see a player who's never used the editor before, they go in and they want to put an arm on the creature. They can.
A classic example of a problem that we had with the editors was, like in the creature editor, there's this torso, there's this sort of blob that you're putting legs and arms onto. But we had the problem of, how do you manipulate that? How do you move it around? And so I remember one day we were talking about this, and I said, the spine should be just like my belt. And I whipped my belt off, and I slapped it down on the table. And I'm like, well, it should be like this. You grab a part of the belt, and you move it around. Like that kind of physical analogy then became the basis for how the spine works. So now you grab the spine, and you can drag it around. You middle mouse wheel to make it wider and thicker.
I actually had my mom try the editors, and there were certain things that definitely confused her, and there were certain things that she understood. But it was good user testing experience, because if your mom gets something, then you know that it's right.